Okay, so we're gonna have a look at some notes about tourism, which is a bit of a random subject, but we know that tourism is about travel experiences. And so, as it says on the screen, it includes literally every single part of that, from the transport to the retail to the entertainment, um, to the booking agents, all of that. And so, tourism is all about all of those things working together to convince people to go somewhere. So, we um, are basically making the assumption that Kangaroo Island is a tourism destination, and part of KI Surf's brand identity is that it has to build on a similar, scope of KI as a particular destination. Now, depending on what sorts of advertisements you have, you'll find different groups are portraying Kangaroo Island in different ways. We're only going to look at one for this assignment, or one portrayal, but when we think about some of our branding later, we will also look at other ways that you could portray it. So one of the things that we don't have to get into too much detail with is just that when we're talking about tourism, you are actually going somewhere for the purpose of what they call displacement. Like, you're going there and you are away from your usual home, friends, family, and it's a place that you'd want to go to actually achieve things like entertainment, food, art, culture, surf, hiking. So it has to have an actual purpose to it. When we are looking at tourism, lots of stats, random stuff, we don't really care about this so much. What we want to think about, and some of this is actually really relevant, is that tourism trends go up and down depending on what is happening in the world. So this one is an example from 2011, where tourism was just rebuilding because in 2008 and 2009 we had a virus, and we had the global financial crisis, and so we had all these things happen that made people not want to travel. Funnily enough, here we are 12 years later, same thing is happening. So we know that tourism is really important because it brings in a lot of money for the area. Kangaroo Island's one of their main imports is tourists. So we don't have to worry about all of that random stuff. But what we do want to think about is learning some of this vocabulary. So the thing that we are looking at for KI is, who is their target audience? Is it mainly domestic tourism, like the eastern states? Is it mainly inbound tourism, which is non-residents traveling in a country, so say Chinese tourists coming in, American tourists coming in, or is it outbound tourism, which is not what we're dealing with? So that would be people from KI going to America. So we didn't care about that one. But some of the vocab that we can use in our answers is domestic tourism and inbound tourism. We can see that back then Australia wasn't even in the top 10, but it doesn't matter because we were getting up there as we kind of went along. All of this is really just to help us with our language when we're talking about what tourism means. So we can see in this bottom diagram that tourism is what happens when you combine recreation, which is fun, planned activities, with leisure, which is free time, and you're actually putting them in a place where you are traveling away from your normal home. They really overcomplicate all these things. But what we want to focus on is that we can have different types of tourists. And so one of the things we can mention in our analysis when we're talking about KI's brand is what kinds of tourists are being appealed to by the advertisements. So